foul upgraded to a flagrant 1. In judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Caitlin Clark's face. Furthermore, there was wind up and impact, and the contact to the face carries a potential for injury. Question: what went into deciding Marina should get a technical instead of something more severe like an ejection? She said the contact made by Mabry did not rise.
The WNBA referees have finally released their official report on the Fever vs. Sun game, and it doesn't just add fuel to the fire. It blows the lid off a deeply flawed system. In their attempt to address the mounting criticism, the officials delivered what can only be described as a textbook example of deflection and spin, sounding less like defenders of fairness and more like masters of hollow justification.
Marina Mabry's technical foul from the Fever Sun game has been upgraded to a flagrant 2, the league told ESPN. A flagrant 2 comes from a standard fine. Additionally, Sophie Cunningham was fined separately for her hard foul with 40 seconds left to play. No players will be suspended. And a lot of fans were really upset about this because if Marina Mabry's foul during the game was called a flagrant 2, like it was upgraded to, then she would have been ejected during the game, and I don't think any of this stuff with Sophie and JC would have happened at the end of the game if the refs would have gotten control of the game much earlier on. And I do think if they would have ejected Marina Mabry during that whole play when she completely blindsided Caitlin, it wasn't a basketball play, it was after the whistle. If she would have been ejected at that point in time, I think it would have set the tone.
Let's be clear, this isn't just poor officiating. What we're seeing is a deliberate, unmistakable pattern of bias against the Indiana Fever. It's so glaringly obvious that even the officials' own explanations can't cover it up anymore. If you're wearing a Fever jersey, especially if your name is Caitlin Clark, you're facing a level of scrutiny and disadvantage that's not just unfair, it's undeniable. We're not talking exaggeration here. We're talking about a reality that's playing out in plain sight.
Gets poked in the eye, Marina Mabry doesn't even see what happens and she just decides to clean Caitlin Clark out of it. And the referees just said, nah, it was not worth an injection. But now, in an update, it has been upgraded. It has been upgraded. So, she has now been upgraded to a flagrant 2. So basically, all they had to do was just eject her. All they had to do was eject her and none of this happens. If the referees had ejected Marina Mabry, nothing else happens. The Sophie Cunningham situation.
So, what did head referee Ashley Gloss have to say about this mess of a game? Brace yourself for this. According to her, the contact by Marina Mabry did not warrant an ejection and did not meet the criteria for a flagrant foul either. Seriously? Are we watching the same game? Mabry blindsided Caitlin Clark, knocked her to the floor from behind after Clark had already taken a hit to the eye. And somehow, that doesn't even qualify as a flagrant? It's not just a bad call. It's a complete failure to protect players and uphold the integrity of the game.
How the fuck does that not rise to a level of ejection? Can someone explain that to me? I think even in the NBA that might have been an ejection. I think both of them would have got ejected. She said additionally it did not meet the criteria for flagrant 1 foul penalty 2. So what does? Right? Question: why did Caitlin Clark get a technical foul? After the foul by Sheldon, Clark reached in an unsportsmanlike manner towards Sheldon. What type of sense? Yo, she got hit in the eye. It did, in one angle, it looks like she got damn near punched. And then she trying to get up. She trying to get the girl off her. The girl attacks at her, and then Marina comes and knocks her down. That's crazy. So you gotta wait till something happens. So the lead viewer.
But wait, it gets even better. According to Ashley Gloss, Caitlin Clark was kicked with a technical foul for unsportsmanlike behavior toward Sheldon after getting her eye gouged. So let me get this straight. You get physically assaulted on the court, and when you react like any normal person would, you're the one who gets punished. That's the kind of upside-down logic we're dealing with here.
That Caitlin Clark deserves to have people kind of go at her because she's a trash talker. Okay, if that is the logic. But the media are now saying Caitlin Clark brings everything on herself. And by the way, Caitlin Clark, if you want to say JC Sheldon getting in her face and like everything until the eye gouge, nobody brings eye gouges on themselves. This is the same as, she brings it on herself with the push-off. Just call the hand check and the push-off doesn't happen.
And the cherry on top, Sophie Cunningham gets ejected with a flagrant 2 the moment she stands up for her teammate. Meanwhile, Marina Mabry, who delivered what most would reasonably call an outright cheap shot, initially walked away with just a technical foul. Only after a wave of public backlash did the league quietly upgrade it to a flagrant 2. But still, no ejection, no suspension. just silence and damage control.
They got it right at the end of the day, but why not get it right away? That is what most of us are talking about, man. There's no way y'all coming after the game and then now you're saying, oh, it should have been a flagrant 2. Oh, we should have. Look, you're catching the smoke and now you want to change it. You need to do it during the game. All right, during the game, go ahead and call it the way it is, man. Stop with the none.
If you're enjoying this, hit subscribe, because here's where it gets downright infuriating. Caitlin Clark has taken 17% of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA this season. One player, nearly a fifth of the league's total. So either she's the most reckless player in WNBA history, or maybe, just maybe, she's being targeted, and the refs are letting it happen. But according to the officials, it's all just coincidence. The league's biggest star, constantly hit with cheap shots, and somehow it has nothing to do with how games are being called. Give me a break.
Detail what you mean by get control of the game, just to be in your words.
Get control of the game is call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Right, and consistently call the fouls that are actually happening on the floor. Okay, not just if somebody swings and misses, right? Like, consistently call the fouls.
Coach, do you think it's something pertaining to your team, or do you think this is a league-wide issue?
Well, I've seen quite a few dust-ups in the league so far, so I think it's a league-wide issue. I mean, bad officiating is bad officiating.
And then what did you make of Sophie Cunningham's flagrant foul on JC towards the end?
It was a flagrant foul.
Do you think it's like defending Caitlin or defending the team, or how do you view just how it all?
I view it as a flagrant foul.
That's about the game, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys came for basketball.
Yeah,
Let's
no,
talk
seriously.
about basketball.
Coach Stephanie White saw it coming from the first quarter. She warned the refs that tensions were rising and something bad would happen if they didn't step in. They ignored her. The game spiraled, and then they acted surprised when it exploded. Even the WNBA admitted the officials lost control and made mistakes. Yet the main punishment went to Sophie Cunningham for defending her teammate, not the player who started it. And this isn't just one game. Complaints about officiating are piling up across the league, but Indiana seems to take the worst of it.
How they can somehow get refs for the WNBA that can't control the game. Like, half of your job as a ref is to control the players, control the game, make sure things don't randomly get out of hand. And then you just watch things get out of hand and you're like, dude, this is gonna go so viral later. Like, I'm convinced that's what the refs were thinking last night during the Fever and the Sun game. Dude, this is gonna go so viral later. Cause like, they had no control over that. Absolutely no control over that game, dog. And at the end of the season last year, one of the things I said, like, I really hope changes in the W between last year and this year is that they get better refs that kind of actually give a shit and like know what they're doing. And they haven't done that. They still.
The real issue isn't one bad call. It's the pattern. Marina Mabry blindsides Caitlin Clark and gets a technical. Sophie Cunningham responds with a hard, controlled foul and is ejected immediately. Yes, Cunningham's foul was intentional, but it wasn't dirty. It was the kind of play that happens when refs lose control. Yet somehow her actions were seen as worse than Mabry's. Even the broadcasters called it out in real time, blaming the officials for letting things spiral. When everyone watching can see the problem, it's no longer just a bad look. It's a broken system.
Had no place in the game for what Sophie Cunningham did. What about what she didn't say shit about what the other two people did. She said no place in the game for what Sophie Cunningham did. That warrants further review and penalty from the lead. But you're not gonna review and penalize what Marina and
Fever coach Stephanie White deserves credit for speaking out. In her post-game press conference, she called out the officiating, saying, "Everybody's getting better except the officials," and pointed to season-long bias against her team. "The disrespect for our team has been unbelievable," she said, adding that the league's system for filing complaints doesn't work. When a coach is forced to talk about fairness instead of basketball, it's clear the system is broken.
Every year when we have our league meetings in the fall and in the spring, we say the same thing over and over and over. And nothing has changed. So, I'm not sure outside of continuing to submit clips, continuing to talk about it. Like, look, their job is hard. Their job is hard. Their job is hard, right? Their job is hard. The game has changed so much. Players are faster, they're better, they're bigger, they're stronger. You know, they're as good as they've ever been. They're as athletic as they've ever been. The game is fast now. Things are happening quickly. Everybody's getting better. Except the...
So it's really people out here defending Marina Mabry for Madden hit sticking Caitlin Clark to the floor, saying that she's just protecting her teammate. For one, it involved Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon. They had their little spiel before that. And then JC Sheldon scratches Clark in the face, then invades her space after that. Clark pushes her away because of that. And then Marina Mabry comes get involved and Madden hit sticks her to the floor, man. And y'all just like she was protecting her teammate. But then Sophie Cunningham is getting called vile and disgusting for dropping JC Sheldon to the floor and dragging her by the hair. So Sophie Cunningham can't stick up for her teammate, or else it's vile and disgusting. But Marina Mabry could get involved in something that didn't involve her, and it's just she was protecting her teammate. The Caitlin Clark hate is so